Hi, we are back to Fit to One Connection. This time we are here with Lieutenant Busby. We'll be talking about community mental health. So welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. So how did you get involved with community mental health?
Well, after I got my social work degree, it was my first job was working for a community mental health
Wow.
up north.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So when should someone call community mental health for help?
Well, anytime someone is dealing with like symptoms of mental illness,
Okay.
or if they have an intellectual or developmental disability, and they feel like that's really, maybe interfering with their life in some way or somehow preventing them from accomplishing their goals, that's a good time to call. Or also parents with children who are having, serious emotional problems that are interfering with them having a good quality of life.
Wow. Who is eligible for service?
So eligibility is always complicated. You have to have a serious mental illness or an intellectual or developmental disability,
Okay.
or a serious emotional impairment. In addition to that, you also have to have some serious functional impairments, so some big interference with your function in day-to-day life. And then also usually people who don't have health insurance or who have Medicaid insurance or who are underinsured.
Okay.
So, and all of that's really complicated, so there are some kind of rules and policies that exist that govern how we make those decisions.
Wow. What kind of rules?
So the Michigan Mental Health Code is a law that actually kind of governs who is eligible for services and
Okay.
what that looks like. There's also the Medicaid manual, which is a rule book essentially for Medicaid insurance, and it tells providers what we can and can't do and who we should and who we wouldn't help. So.
Yeah. What are some examples of service that you can provide?
Well, we have a lot, so I definitely couldn't bring an all-inclusive list, but we do provide lots of different types of assessments,
Okay.
outpatient therapy, services for substance abuse, physical therapy, crisis intervention services, psychiatric placement and support, health services, home-based services. There's infant mental health services, autism services, also psychiatry, peer supports, case management, community living support, skill building, residential support, supported employment, wraparound services, and then also OBRA assessment and coordination. And there's actually more. Those are just some really main ones.
So, what does abuse mean?
What does abuse mean?
Yes.
Talking about substance abuse, is that what you're asking? So abuse would probably be a usage, or amount of usage that really interferes with your quality of life.
Wow.
So,
That's really helpful.
yeah.
What is the process for deciding when services start?
We have some very specific rules in place that help kind of navigate that. So first somebody would call our access line and they would get a pre-screen within the first 3 hours. And from that pre-screen, they would either get referred out somewhere else or they would get scheduled with an assessment with us, and that has to happen within 14 days.
Okay.
So that's technically the first service that happens. And then that assessment determines if they can get other services from us. So that's, 14 more days out. And then we do a person-centered plan, and that kind of determines when all the real services start. So it could take as long as, 30 days for some people, but depending on the urgency of the need, sometimes we can make that process happen a lot more quickly.
Wow. So what does the PCP mean?
Person-centered planning. And so that's, it's a process, but it's also a document for some people. And essentially it's a clinician working with an individual and maybe anybody else who's involved in their lives, like their friends, their family, could also be other treatment professionals if they have staff support, and we kind of talk to that person and their team essentially and figure out what their goals are, what they want to work on and accomplish, and help them identify ways to get there and what their part of it's going to be and what our part of it's going to be.
Are there any laws that CMH has to follow?
Well, we do have to follow the same laws as everybody else, but also there is, as I had mentioned, the Michigan Mental Health Code.
Okay.
So those are some specific laws about what our obligations are. And then there's also, well, it's not directly related to us, but the Omnibus Reconciliation Act, that's a law that impacts nursing care facilities.
Okay.
And there's an OBRA coordinator or OBRA staff help. They're part of CMH. And they help nursing care facilities follow that law by doing some assessments and making recommendations. So,
Wow.
there's a couple laws we're involved with, I think.
How did the pandemic affect people's mental health?
Well, I was actually looking at the National Institute of Health. That's a website you could go on. And they talk a lot about how the pandemic affected people. One way, of course, is COVID itself, people who, contracted COVID and had to deal with fighting that virus off. The side effects of that sometimes created increased symptoms of mental illness. So that's one way. And then also for people who maybe didn't contract COVID, but obviously we were all impacted by the pandemic. And while some people maybe feel like it didn't affect them a lot, some people experienced trauma, maybe loss of job, increased stress, a panic, and all of those things can increase symptoms
Wow.
of mental health.
What can we do to help someone who is depressed?
To help someone who's depressed, well, you definitely want to be compassionate and understanding, because sometimes when people are depressed, it looks different for everybody, and sometimes we don't understand what they're going through or why they're acting the way they're acting. So trying to be compassionate and understanding, but also being supportive to them while encouraging them to get professional help, because that's really, the best thing we can do is help them get connected with someone who specializes in treating depression.
Wow. Do you have any favorite memories from CMH?
I have a lot of favorite memories from CMH, but I think just to combine and summarize, I will say anytime I worked with someone and maybe they were going through something difficult in their life, and I helped connect them with different resources and supports, and through that they were really able to overcome and achieve something that was really important to them. I always really felt good being a part of that.
Wow. So how can we learn more about CMH?
Well, you can, for Central Michigan CMH, which is one local here to Midland, you could go to our website, which is cmhcm.org. Let me make sure I gave you the right, cmhcm.org. You could also go to the Mid-State Health Network, which is midstatehealthnetwork.org, and that essentially they oversee CMH, so they're kind of the boss of CMH. You could also go to Community Mental Health Association of Michigan. Their website is cmham.org. And all of those places will have a lot of information about CMH and how to get involved in services and what to do if you're not happy with your services, or that kind of stuff.
Well, thank you for joining Fit2One Connection.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So that was Renee Busby for the Community Mental Health. My name is Luke Juma, your host from Fit2One Connection. Thank you for watching. Hi, welcome to 3-to-1 Connection. I'm here with Tyler Miller, and we'll be talking about Director of Greater Midland Community Center for Aquatics.
Yeah.
So welcome,
Hi.
Tyler.
Hi, Luke. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. So how did you get involved at the Community Center for Aquatics?
So I actually started off at the community center as a Midland Dolphins swim coach,
Okay.
which is where I met you. And so I did that for a little while, and then COVID happened, and I finished up school, and I saw that the Greater Midland Community Center was looking for an aquatics manager, and so I applied, and it ended up being a really great fit for me.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. What does aquatics director do?
So I oversee pretty much all of our pool usage, and then some facility rentals for Midland Dolphins and things like that. So swim lessons, the lifeguards, group fitness, a whole bunch of different programs that we have running. Yeah.
Wow, sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Tell us more about swimming lessons at the community center.
Yeah, so we have a pretty wide range of swimming lessons that people can do. We start as early as 6 months old with our parent-child program that goes until 3.5. And then once the kids turn 3, they're able to sign up for our group lesson program, which runs through 16 years old. And then we also have private lessons for people who like a little bit more individualized instruction for themselves or their kids.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What advice would you give the parents of a child who is afraid of water?
Yeah, good question. So the biggest thing is just the repetition and getting them in the water consistently so that they can get used to it. The more fun that you can try and make it through maybe doing some songs or little games with your kid while you're in the water with them.
I remember that.
Yeah, yep.
What should someone do if they want to work in the aquatics program?
Yeah, so we do have some positions available for swim instructors and for lifeguards. So if you're interested in working over there in the aquatics program, you're welcome to go to our website, and we've got those jobs posted. And we're always looking for some people to come and help us out. So.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any programs for people with disabilities?
Yeah, so I recently just started planning out a new program that we're hoping to start next year, sometime probably in the fall once we kind of get adjusted to the new building. And that's going to be adaptive swim lessons that have a little bit better teacher-to-child ratios so that kids can get a little bit better instruction and spend a little bit more time on some things that they might need to. So I'm really excited about that getting started up next year. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Is there any special person that will teach people with disabilities?
Yeah, I think you would be involved with that too, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Luke's gonna help out with that program, and he'll end up being one of our teachers. We're getting him some training right now so that he can get used to it, and yeah, so we're really lucky to have Luke aboard with us over at the aquatics programs.
Thanks, Tyler.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. What events do you have coming up in the aquatics program?
Yeah, so we've got some weekly events that we do just about every week. We've got our Thursday drop-in swims. Those are for families, and a family can come in and swim for $5 a person.
Okay.
And then we also have our preschool swims in the morning. We've reserved some pool time where it's nice and quiet for preschool kids to come in and swim. and the price for that would be one parent and child is $12. And then we also are starting our Fall 2 session of swim lessons and other activities around the community center on October 22nd. So if you're not signed up for Fall 2 swim lessons yet, then you can go ahead and do so right now.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is there so much excitement about the new facility?
So the new facility, all the renderings and building tours that I've done, it's just really, really cool to see, and knowing that Greater Midland is taking the time and the money to invest into the future. So the new pool, I'm really excited about. We've got some cool features in that pool. We'll have a 4-lane lap area.
Wow.
And, yep, so kind of what we have right now for lap swimmers. And then we're going to have a large spray area and zero depth area for preschool children to go ahead and play in. So that'll be really cool. We also have a lazy river in there as well. So the lazy river, I think people end up really liking for some group fitness events and just a little bit of fun. And then we will have a slide as well, except for the slide doesn't feed directly into the pool. It feeds into a chute on the pool deck, which my lifeguards are really excited for because that's a big safety component for us as well.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really cool, fun stuff, honestly.
So, why are there safety concerns for the slide?
So right now, anytime that I'd say probably about 75% of the rescues that our lifeguards have to make in the water happen right where the slide goes into the pool.
Wow.
Yep, and so the fact that it's going to go onto the deck, it's going to make it a lot shallower and just safer for people to go down it.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where can I learn more about aquatics at the Greater Midland Community Center?
So our website is a pretty good source of information. So if you go to www.greatermidland.org, we also have our brochures posted to our website, and our brochures will list out all of the programs that we're doing across the organization, or at least the community center. And so you can go ahead and look at basketball sign-ups there, as well as gymnastics and our aquatics offerings too.
Oh, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. It was great.
You're so welcome. So that was my boss at work at the Greater Community Center, Tyler Miller. My name is Lou Jimler, your host, Virtual Connection, sign off. Hi, welcome to 321 Connection. I'm here with Steve Mulkestern talking about retirement. So welcome.
Hi, Luke. Thanks for having me here.
You're so welcome. So, how long have you been retired?
I will answer that question, but first I want to say congratulations on being a new uncle to sweet baby James. Congratulations.
Yes.
I have been retired, it seems like 5 minutes, but it's actually been almost 5 years.
How did you know it was time to retire?
Well, that's a question that is different for everybody.
Okay.
I had a blessed career. I was so lucky to have great bosses, coworkers, mentors, every step of the way. So I wasn't leaving because I was unhappy there. I'd worked 40 years.
Wow.
And, yeah, it was a long time, and my wife and I had things we wanted to do while we were still young enough to do them, like travel and go camping and take care of our beautiful grandchildren. We wanted to do all that, and it's much easier to do that as a retiree than as an employee.
Wow. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
It's a great thing.
What is something you do for yourself that you couldn't do while you were working?
So when you're working, obviously there are requirements on your time. And this was before COVID, so I had to be into the office. I usually got in pretty early, stayed quite a bit of time, and worked hard. So that kept us from doing some of the things we wanted to do. And so we have started doing those over the last 5 years. We started doing a lot more travel, a lot more camping. We just got back from Alaska. It kind of got sidetracked for a while because COVID happened and we couldn't go anywhere for a while because I retired just before that. But, you know, taking time with the grandchildren, all those things that are things that I do now that I'm retired that I didn't have the time to do when I was working.
Wow. Sounds like a lot of fun.
It really is a lot of fun, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been surprised about anything since you stopped working?
Well, I'm surprised. The one thing I'm surprised about is how busy I am. I've joked that I couldn't possibly go back to work. I'm just too busy to do that. But there's always something going on with volunteer work, or like I said, with the grandchildren, or just things I like to do, like play golf or play pickleball, or again, our travel. So that's what surprised me, is just how busy I stay while retired.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. I
Yeah.
agree.
Do you have a routine every day?
I do have a routine. It's not every day, but I have a pretty common routine that I have. Obviously, if we're traveling somewhere, that routine is completely different. But when we're home, yeah, we have some pretty regular things that my wife and I do. So,
Awesome.
yeah. Yeah.
Do you miss anything about working?
Well, as I said, I loved my career. I left there because it was just the right time, but I didn't leave there with any regrets. I worked hard and I worked long, and I loved every minute of it. The one thing that you'll hear, I think, every retiree say, and it's no different from me, I miss the people. Some of the people that I was very close to, I still see plenty, but around the office, you'd make a lot of friends that I don't see very often anymore. Sometimes you see them around town, but I do miss that daily interaction with all the people that I used to work with and spend so much time with. I do miss them.
Wow. What are your favorite things to do on your free time?
Okay, well, I kind of touched on this. It might become a little redundant, but we like to go camping. We like to travel. As I said, we had a camping trip down to Virginia and North Carolina this spring. We just got back from Alaska recently. We spent most of March in Arizona. So we do a lot of that traveling, and we spend a lot of time with our beautiful grandchildren, because that's kind of the light of our lives. We really enjoy doing that. And then other things that I like to do, I volunteer. I do some volunteer work for Versity. We'll go for walks in Dow Gardens. We'll go for walks in City Forest. All those things are things we like to do. And then I also, I play just the right amount of golf. My wife might say I play too much golf. And I also like to play pickleball pretty regularly. So all those are things that fill up my day.
Wow. Sounds like a lot of fun.
It really is. I recommend retirement.
Yeah. What is your favorite memory so far in retirement?
Well, the memories are, actually retiring and saying goodbye to all of my work friends.
Okay.
But then shortly after that, we had a newborn baby grandson born just
Aw.
before I retired.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we've
Yeah.
had 2 beautiful granddaughters born after I retired.
Aw.
And we had 2 other grandchildren that were
Wow.
3 when we retired. So probably the best memory is all the times we get to spend with them. So that's really, it's really fun to be an integral part of their lives, and the other way around. So it's a beautiful thing.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What advice would you give someone who is about to retire?
Well, I guess the thing that I would say if you're thinking about retirement is some of those things I mentioned. Make sure that you have things that you like to do, whether that's the things I mentioned, if you have things to volunteer for, or things to do because you want to stay busy. I mean, you don't want to think, now what am I going to do next? Those kind of things. So I would say make sure you have things that you enjoy doing set up in advance, maybe even do them in advance, start doing them before you retire. And then obviously you have to have the resources to do them. So you need to save a lot during your work career to be able to afford to retire.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does Midland offer anything special for people who are retired?
Midland, I think, is an amazing community for lots of age groups. It's great for young families, but it also is great, I think, for retirees. as I mentioned, you can go for a walk in City Forest. You can go for a walk at Dow Gardens. The Christmas walk at Dow Gardens is something we love to do. Going down to the Commons on the weekend and listening to the bands that Midland has come in is a great thing to do. And there are a lot of retirees around, and so being able to play the games they like to play. The pickleball community is largely retirees, and that's a big fun group that I like to play with. So,
Wow. Thank you so much for joining.
Oh, absolutely.
You're so welcome. So that was St. Augustine talking about retirement, and I am your talk show host, Luke Dunwright from 321 Connections, signing off.